Hey everybody, it's AJ from Disney Food Blog. Thanks for joining us over here at DFB Guide. Today we are going to talk about how Disney World tricks you into having a good time. So a couple of videos back, we talked about how Disney World uses marketing strategies and tactics to get you to spend a little bit more money, but Disney also sort of tricks you into having a great time in several specific ways. That sounds a little weird, I know. Don't worry, we'll walk you through it. Here we go. So Disney is committed to making sure your time at Disney World is magical. We know this, right? Because that's how they get you to come back. And that's even true when things might not be going so smoothly for them. So if there's a lot of construction happening, if they're changing a lot of things, they still have to make sure that your experience is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So from hiding construction to optical illusions and offering freebies, these are ways that Disney uses plenty of tactics to ensure you never find yourself in the real world while you're in their parks and properties. So first up, Disney hides and highlights the construction that's going on in the park. It's no secret that Disney World is constantly under construction. Walt said himself, Disneyland is never done, is never finished, where they're constantly going to be updating and changing. So you may not really notice that it's always under construction over there in Disney World Parks and Resorts and in Disneyland. Disney will disguise that construction in many ways. One way that they do it is with construction walls that blend into the background. Sometimes they'll be the same color as the blue sky. That's what we saw at Toy Story Land. We saw bright blue construction walls that not only lent themselves to the colors of Toy Story Land, but also sort of blended in with the blue sky, and you'll see that in other areas of other Disney parks too. They'll use printed scrims that actually look like the location under construction, so that in your pictures it may look a little bit more like there isn't a huge building under construction right there. For instance, if they're renovating the outside of the Emporium on Main Street, USA, they will put up a scrim that basically has a picture of the Emporium when it's not being renovated, so it'll look sort of like nothing's happening there. If they're doing huge construction projects that people want to see what's happening behind the walls, for instance, when they were creating Mine Train over there in New Fantasyland, the fences had little windows that you could peek in to see what was going on, which was really cool. They haven't done that since. They haven't done that with Pandora or Toy Story Land, but they do post concept art. For instance, Galaxy's Edge concept art, Toy Story Land concept art. They do post those concept art pieces on the walls so that people can get an idea of what's going on behind the wall. But sometimes there's just no hiding the refurb. For example, Disneyland Sleeping Beauty Castle just went down for refurb, and it's pretty obvious, unfortunately. You've got that big, huge gray wall around it. Hopefully that will be done quickly. So if they can't hide what they're doing, or if what they're doing is actually going to affect your vacation and your trip, sometimes they will give free gifts and extras to people. For example, when Caribbean Beach Resort was under so much construction, Disney actually gave money back to those people staying at the Caribbean Beach Resort in form of gift cards and things like that. Sometimes they'll give out construction pins. Right now, folks staying at the resorts where the Disney Skyliner is being built and there's a lot of construction noise and a lot of construction debris, some folks are getting Disney Skyliner pins. And the same thing happened at Coronado Springs. There's all that construction for Grand Destino Tower. And so the Coronado Springs guests are getting little exclusive construction trading pins for staying there as well. Disney also will always send out a piece of mail ahead of time if they know that your resort is going to be under construction or the pool is going to be under construction or something like that. They will send out a piece of mail that tells you about the construction and gives you ample time to change your resort if that's what you want to do. If you check in and you didn't know about the construction, they will have a letter in your room letting you know about the construction as well. Now, you're not always going to get a pin. You're not always going to get a special, gift card or discount or anything for construction. Doesn't always happen. Just the same way you're not always going to get a free cupcake on your birthday in Disney World, but sometimes you get lucky if you stay in some of those hotels that are under construction. Also, if something happens like a ride breaks down when you're on it, or a ride breaks down when you have a fast pass for it, Disney will often give a free fast pass to guests who were on the ride when it broke down or who missed out on riding the ride if their fast pass window passed while the ride was down. So if that happens to you, you'll probably get an extra fast pass in your My Disney Experience account that just says multiple experiences, and you can use it on just about anything in that park. Now, if you were on a ride like Winnie the Pooh, you're not going to be able to use your free fast pass for Mine Train most likely, or if you were on a ride like the Safaris and it broke down or something like that, you're probably not going to be able to get on that most popular ride, the Flight of Passage. But you never know, so it's always worth a try. Definitely let us know in the comments if you guys have had that experience. If you've been on a less popular ride, it broke down, you got a free fast pass, were you able to use it on the more popular rides? I'd love to know. Another example of Disney trying to give you a magical experience, even though the experience you're having is not so magical, is when Frozen Ever After opened over in Epcot, had waits of 300 minutes, which is unbelievable to me. 300 minutes to ride that ride, and it was summer. It was very hot, and so guests were given free water and ice cream in the line because waiting 5 hours, wouldn't you get hungry or thirsty, especially if you're in the heat? So I guess that helped a little bit for some of those guests. So once in a while, those little magical extras will happen if you're waiting in those long lines. And as always, Disney will try to have entertainment even if it's raining. So even if they have to cancel, for instance, the Festival of Fantasy Parade, they will bring out the Rainy Day Cavalcade, which is super cute and adorable and something that most people don't get to see. So it's kind of a fun, unique experience if you do get to see the Rainy Day Cavalcade. Another thing Disney does to try to trick you into having a magical experience is to keep you immersed in the magic. Now, this is where the real trickery comes in. This is the show-stopping Imagineering, like forced perspective. This is something that a lot of Disney diehards know about. When you're walking down Main Street and looking up at that big, tall, imposing castle in the distance, you might not believe that it's actually only 189 feet tall. It's not actually that tall. The bricks at the bottom are very large and get smaller as they go up to make the castle appear a lot taller than it really is. Also, the windows are much smaller at the top, so even though it looks like they're farther away, they're actually physically smaller, so that makes them look farther away from you and thus makes the castle look taller. The same is true for the shops on Main Street, which are also angled a bit, so that when you enter the Magic Kingdom, the street appears much longer and the castle seems farther away. Forced perspective is also used in Pandora. The top floating islands are a lot smaller and the foliage is scaled down from the islands that are closer to the ground to make it appear that they're floating even higher in the sky than they really are. So Disney does this in several locations. They used forced perspective to trick your eye into thinking that something is bigger or farther away than it is. This is another one of my favorite ways that Disney messes with your perceptions when you are in the park to sort of keep you in their fantasy land versus in reality. They are very careful about how things are set up for sight lines. So when you're in a particular land at Disney World, you're unable to see other parts of the park, and that's by design. So when you're in Adventureland, Disney Imagineers want to make sure you feel like you're completely and only in that land. That's why you can't catch a glimpse of Main Street or even Frontierland until you get past Pirates of the Caribbean. And this is also the case from park to park. So Orlando is very, very flat. You can't kind of use mountains or hills to hide parks from other parks. And so when you are in Epcot's World Showcase, you may look across the World Showcase Lagoon at the Morocco Pavilion and you will actually see Tower of Terror peeking up behind the Morocco Pavilion. They designed Tower of Terror to be the same color as the Morocco Pavilion and the same basic architecture style. So even if you're standing in the middle of Epcot, looking across World Showcase Lagoon, looking at Morocco, and you see that Tower of Terror, it blends right in with the sightline. It's really, really cool. So Disney uses particular colors and textures of pavement so you know where you are in the park. For instance, the pavement in Frontierland is brown like dirt, and in Tomorrowland, it's gray. And we've even heard some cast members say that the red sidewalks in Magic Kingdom were chosen because they go really well with the blue of the sky and they will pop in photographs. You'll notice this at Epcot too. Speaking of colors, Disney also uses something called Go Away Green or No-See-Um Green, and it's a very specific and secret shade of green that Disney uses to paint things they want you to ignore, like utility boxes, cast member doors, backstage areas, and sometimes even construction projects. Apparently this color is so bland and blends in so well that you look right past it and you don't notice those boring everyday things because Disney doesn't want you to think about how the park runs, they just want you to see the magic. So let's head back over there to Magic Kingdom and talk about one more thing that Disney does to kind of trick you into staying in the magic when you are there and having a magical trip when you're there. There is an urban legend that Walt Disney was walking in Tomorrowland and Disneyland and actually saw a cast member from Frontierland walking through Tomorrowland wearing his costume from Frontierland. And Walt Disney felt a little bit jarred that that character should not be in Tomorrowland. And so when he was planning for Walt Disney World, he decided to build tunnels underneath the Magic Kingdom called utilidors that would allow cast members to not sort of tread into areas where their specific character didn't make sense for the people there. Now that is an urban legend. I don't know if it really happened. I don't know if it was Tomorrowland and Frontierland or some other combination of lands. But regardless, Magic Kingdom is actually built on a series of tunnels where a lot of the day-to-day activities take place so that the only thing the guests see on stage upstairs is the magic. A lot of people don't realize that the Magic Kingdom really is upstairs. It is the second floor. Because Orlando's water table is so high, you can't really dig under the ground there to build sort of a basement of utilidors. So the utilidors are the first floor, and the Magic Kingdom is actually the second floor of that particular area. So those utilidors house the trash dispersal system. That's where all of the cast members go to get from here to there around the park. There are actually little vehicles going around under there delivering things where they need to go. And that's, of course, where the characters get ready. So there's a lot going on under there that Disney doesn't want you to see. They don't want you thinking about it. They just want you thinking about the magic that's happening up on the second floor. These are multiple ways that Disney actually kind of tricks your mind, tricks your eye into having a magical vacation and being someplace other than your real life while you are in Walt Disney World. All of this stuff is happening all the time. Disney's very cognizant, and the Imagineers are very cognizant about designing attractions and designing parks and designing resort hotels to keep the guest in this magical vacation instead of thinking about their real life and the things that they have to deal with back home. It's a smart trick. It's an appreciated trick from guests like me who keep going back over and over again to escape real life, right? If you guys have any examples, I'd love to hear them. Please let me know in the comments your examples of Disney sort of going out of their way to micromanage reality to make sure guests have the best time they possibly can in the park. There's definitely a lot of thought that goes into it behind the scenes. So we hope you like this video. I love doing research like this and learning stuff like this about how Disney World ticks and how they work. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and we'll see you real soon.